I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, June the 11th, brought to you in part by Fairpiece, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. I think by now most of you should know that you need to address the stress in your cattle. And Fairpiece works to increase the production of any class of cattle, whatever you're wanting them to do. Anytime cattle are exposed to stress, you should administer Fairpiece. For more information, go to fairpiece.com. ICE raids Omaha, and as high as this market is, as soon as anything happens, we get all kinds of rumors and confusion about what's going on. I had reports on Tuesday morning that the ICE raids were all over Nebraska, and there were 4 beef packing plants that were being raided. It turns out it was only one, and it wasn't even a beef packing plant. It was Glen Valley Farms in Omaha, which is a food packaging company. Yeah, they went in there and pulled out 80 or 90 of what they believed were illegal aliens, and they were using fake IDs. And bystanders were jumping out in front of the agents' cars and threatening them to run over them and things like that. Now the officials from Glen Valley Farm says we were using E-Verify when we checked out these employees. So if they're using fake IDs, you know, it's a pretty good fake ID if they're getting through that system, which was established by the government. But I guess they'll check them out, and if they are legal, they'll be back, and if they're not legal, they won't be back. But it caused a little uproar right there in Omaha. And the 2 beef packing plants real close to there in Omaha, Nebraska Beef and Greater Omaha, they were having trouble keeping employees on the line. They were abandoning their post. Some of the employees there that were immigrants and not sure about their legal status, but it caused them to cancel some cattle that were coming in. It slowed production, caused a big uproar, and that went on. And I tell you what, one thing about Trump, love him or hate him, he's going to be our president for the next 4 years. He tells the truth, and he does what he says he's going to do. He said that he was going to go into places like that. If they got tips on somebody that's a bad dude that they want to get out of there, they're going to go in and get them, and they're going to get everybody else that appears to be illegal. He didn't hide that. Stood there and said many, many, many times that's exactly what he was going to do, and now that's what he's doing. So you can't be shocked by what's happening out there, but there is a big unrest, and in LA they've got now the professional rioters and looters that are in there, and otherwise it's just pretty much a lot of thugs that are just waiting for any kind of unrest to happen so that they can rape and pillage and throw rocks at policemen and break into businesses and steal things, and they just like, that's their thing. That's what they like to do, spread graffiti all over. I talked to a friend of mine that's on social media down below the border in Mexico, and Mexican citizens are in an uproar down there too, saying that these riots are causing more hate to spread about them in Mexico, and they're saying it's not even Mexicans that are doing it. It's just people that love to riot and loot. And it's just a big mess there, and they need to get it cleaned up as quick as they can, and now they're trying to get more riots started in other places, and I don't know how that's going to work out. But we've got an $8 basis in the Southern Plains. We sold cattle in Texas at $2.35, and the best the June live cattle contract could do on Tuesday was up 7 cents after it was down earlier, and the board moved a lot on Tuesday, but finished higher, quite a bit higher on the feeders, but not higher on your back months of live cattle contracts. They were all lower for the most part. but at 227 is that June board. We're well into June. $8 basis there. There's really not anything to make that board come up to the cash. And once again, I'll say, if CME would fix it where your longs could demand delivery, I don't think there's any packing plant that wouldn't love to get some cattle delivered to them at 227, even 230 in this market, because the cattle are not out there, and they're having trouble finding them, having trouble getting them bought if they do find them. But on our feeder cattle, our receipts are starting to dry up, just right on cue, just like we knew they would after Memorial Day. We're going to see big runs in some specials, and that's where you'll see them, is at a special auction that's well advertised, and we'll see some big runs there. But a lot of your smaller markets and then your northern markets are now going to every other week, things like that. I'm usually on Cattle Market Central looking at 5 or 6 pages of quotes, of load lot quotes, and this week so far it's just been 2 pages per day, and not even filling those up. But we're seeing big prices at Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota. They had a replacement special there. They sell 32 black baldy heifer pairs at $47.85. They had 65 black baldy 4 to 6 year old heavy bred cows, bringing $35.50 to $38.25. Those are big prices, guys. Let's talk about your board on Tuesday. June live cattle up 7 cents at 227.07. August was down 105 at 218.20, and then your back months they were down, and then when you got way far out, then they were back up. But very volatile, down 22 cents to up $1.05. August feeder cattle up $1.50 again on Tuesday at 313.15. September was up 205 at 312.75, and then your back months were all up big, up 207 to up 247. July corn up 5 1/4 cents a bushel at 438 3/4. July beans up 1 3/4 cents a bushel at 1057 3/4, and your hard red winter wheat for July was down 10 1/4 cents at 527 1/4. You look at your fat cattle trade, and the only thing we saw early in the week on a Tuesday in your direct trade negotiated was in your Texas feedlot area. They had 400 head sell at 235. That was the absolute best that they had last week, was 235. So this market's looking strong again this week, but that's all we saw on a direct basis. We did have the fat cattle auction in Yankton, South Dakota. Stockman's livestock market there. They had 1,200 head in overnight. They had 2,000 for the fed cattle auction, and it was higher again. Conventional fed cattle sold from $236 to $245.50, steady to $3 higher. Your program cattle, non-implanted or drug-free, selling from $240 to $247.50. That was steady to $4 higher. And then a lot of those program cattle were returning to feed, and they were weighing from $11.70 to $13.50 and bringing $239.75 to $251.50. Good fat cattle auction there in Yankton. Box beef cutout values, big jump in the choice, and that may have been what spurred your late drive and your futures there. But choice cuts on Tuesday afternoon, 371.76. That was up 451. Selects were up just 91 cents at 359.84. Slaughter come in, estimated cattle slaughter through Tuesday, 231,000. That was 5,000 less than last week at this point, and 15,000 less than the same week a year ago at this point. Talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. Performance Beef is software designed by cattle producers for cattle producers. It simplifies feeding, performance, and health data recording for feeders and backgrounders, guys. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index Tuesday on late after your sales had all concluded, sitting at 312.16, down 58 cents. Down a little bit. I had a big run up there over the weekend and early in the week, but down just 58 cents on Tuesday late. We saw a big jump in your CME cash feeder cattle index. It came out, the latest available. It's always a day or two short, and it's all the way up to 314.04. Big sales on Tuesday. Beaver County stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma had 3,100 head. Their feeder steers, and this is called by Federal State Market News, feeder steers were steady to $5 higher. They did have several thousand head, 1,000 pound plus, 1,000 to 1,150. Those steers were bringing $10 to $15 more than they brought last week. That is huge. That's a lot of money. Feeder heifers are selling $3 to $6 higher. Calves sold steady to $6 higher in a light test. Beaver was your superior steel sales, superior standard livestock equipment stick-out sale of the day. Check out this automated market report through Cattle Market Central and look at your best tested weights. That 144 head of 6-weight steers averaged 643 at 345.29. 449 head of 8-weight steers averaged 853 at 311.26. 374 head of the 9-weight steers averaged 951 at 285.44. And not on this market report, they had the big cattle weighing over a grand. 169 of the light 10 weights, 10 to 1050, averaged 1018, and the average price was 287.43. They had 395 head of heavy 10 weights from 10.5 to 1,100 pounds. They averaged 1067 at 280.32, and 102 head of 1,103 pound steers bring 274.50. Big time quotes on big cattle. Now look at the heifers. 168 heifers in the 6-weight category averaged 641 at 327.83. 307 head of the 7-weight heifers averaged 762 at 298.68. And 361 head of 8-weight heifers averaged 824 pounds at 293.98. Talk about another big sale. Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri had 2,600 head through the ring, and another 1,476 head were sold on their in-house video they do with help from DVAuction. Through the ring, the feeders sell from $3 to $12 higher. The steer calves were $14 to $18 higher, and the heifer calves were $4 to $12 higher. I want to tell you about a stick-out sale at West Plains that come through their in-house video. It was the Brandon Jolly cattle. He had 2 loads of weaned steer calves, home-raised, 160 head of them, to weigh 600 pounds base weight, coming up for delivery within the next 2 weeks. They come from Doniphan, Missouri, South Missouri, but those 2 loads of 600-pound steer calves bring $399 on the in-house video at West Plains. Wow. How about some other quotes? Bluegrass Stockyards in Lexington, Kentucky. They can sell them out there, especially this time of year when the cattle don't need a lot of hair to be fed, even in the northern plains. 54 head, 992-pound steers in Lexington, Kentucky bring $295 or $2,926 per head. How about Miles City Livestock Commission in Miles City, Montana? They sell 97 steer calves weighed 530 pounds at $445.75. Unionville Livestock Market, one of our favorites there, they sell some more of the Rockin' R cattle. They just have them ready all the time. Those background and Rockin' R cattle from Lucerne, Missouri, they had 4 loads of them in Unionville there. The loads averaged 899 pounds at $308.25. Wow. But the most impressive quote that I saw on Tuesday in your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day come out of Creighton Livestock Market in Creighton, Nebraska. It was a big string, 308 head in one swath. They weighed 1070. Big cattle bring $287.75 or $3,079 per head. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.